Sup with it guys, you got an excellent name, and I am here today with my Terminus Battle Factory Draft Analysis video. For those of you who don't know, Terminus Battle Factory is a little YouTube league that's been started up. This is its first season. It's got a few big names, relatively big. It's got Liberty, for example, who's pretty big, so it's going to be fun for sure. I've got a very offensive team that's going to be very fun for me to use. Looking forward to it. A lot of really powerful teams, and mine is no exception. So let's jump right into it. We've got White Bengal, the Zorora. Zorora is basically Tiger, nice electric type, unreleased currently, but it is being allowed in this league because it's not at all broken, and it's just nice to, I guess, get a little feel for the Pokemon before it ends up being released soon. So as you can see, the main thing you're going to notice here is its blistering speed, 1 to 43. Very, very fast, obviously. That's going to be really nice. For outspeeding pretty much everything that's allowed. I think it is the fastest thing other than like Ninjask. So gonna be outspeeding pretty much everything, which is great. It's gonna be very good as an anti-lead, very good revenge killer, and fast pivot. It doesn't get U-turn though, so that's really gonna limit its value as a pivot. I don't think this thing is gonna be very good. I did pick it round 1, tier 1, which I don't think it necessarily deserves. I think it would probably be around the same line as Raikou or Xurkitree in tier 2, but I just wanted to try it out. It's a Pokemon I haven't used yet because it's unreleased, obviously, so I just decided why not pick it up. Choco got sniped anyway. So next Pokemon we've got here is PD Piranha Mega Mawile over here. As you can see, just super strong Pokemon. I am surprised to have gotten this in round 2, but I'm very happy that I did. Ridiculous wall breaker, very little wants to take a hit from this. As you can see, my notable sets are kill everything or set up and then kill everything, and that's basically what it does. There's not really many real switch-ins to this, and because it is in a league format, I'm going to be able to run whatever coverage I want. Stuff like Arcanine's not going to want to take a Stone Edge, for example, so there's not really going to be any good switch-ins, so I just absolutely demolish bulky teams. The main weakness of this Pokemon is obviously going to be faster Pokemon that don't mind taking a Sucker Punch, but I've got ways of dealing with fast Pokemon. Got the Zorora to outspeed all of those kinds of things, so I'm going to have a good time with this thing, bring it in on all the fairies and stuff, and just blow everything away. So next up we've got Hydration, the Hydreigon. At this point in the video, I'm going to remind everyone to make sure to stay hydrated, especially after you lose this thing and are all dehydrated from all the salt you're going to be intaking. But Hydreigon's, in my opinion, one of, if not the best wall breakers in the game, or stall breaker if you like. With Taunt or Roost, for example, it's going to be able to take on any wall off, like defensively. It's not going to be getting whittled down too easily. And then with like a Z Draco, it's knocking out pretty much anything. I've got superpower for like the special walls. I've got like a pretty good attack stat to take advantage of as well. So I've got a lot of options to take on that, and for that alone, I think it's probably like a really solid tier 2 pick. I did get this in tier 2. I don't agree that it belongs in tier 2. I think this is a tier 1 pick, but I did get it in tier 2. Aside from the Stall Breaker set, which is honestly just phenomenal by itself, I've also got spec sets, scarf sets. I can run mixed physical. I can be a pretty decent pivot with U-turn, and I can even run defensive. Its defensive stats aren't necessarily fantastic, but they're very solid still, and with as many good resistances and immunities as it has, it resists Ghost, Dark, and Water, and it's immune to Ground and Psychic, notably. Like, those are some really significant types for me to be able to take on quite effectively, and its 4 times weakness to Fairy isn't really that big of a deal, considering there's no hidden power Fairy. So got a lot of options on this Pokemon that just makes it really solid overall. Next up, I've got Lord the Nidoqueen, but you can call it Queen Bee. This Pokemon is just, once again, another really versatile Pokemon. It's not very fast, obviously, but it's fast enough to utilize a Choice Scarf. Its coverage with Sheer Force is just phenomenal to be using Life Orb offensive, and it definitely has the bulk and really solid typing to be run defensively. It's going to be electric immunity, good fairy counter if Mega Mawile wasn't enough, obviously. And then it gives me Stealth Rock support, gives me Toxic Spike support, which is something I value really highly in a Pokemon. Toxic Spikes is one of the most important things that a team can have utility-wise, other than Fox, obviously. So it's definitely nice to have gotten a solid tier 2 pick for that early on. And yeah, this is something else that can take advantage of Aurora as a pivot, so it's solid there. Next up I got Gyarados, aka Wormdew, just as a nice extra sweeper. It's my main water type. I'm going to be taking on some hits pretty well. It's got quite good defensive stats with Intimidate especially. It's going to be able to take on a lot of like physically offensive water types if I need it to, but its main thing that's going to be doing is obviously going to be Dragon Dancing. It can run offensive or defensive Dragon Dance quite well. Defensive would be like sub-bounce kind of Dragon Dance with leftovers, or like a Rest Talk kind of set that you could run. I can run like Dragon Dance to attack with like stuff. I can run Taunt, and yeah, I've just got like some other options as you can see in the moves. Thunder Wave, Whirlpool, Curse and stuff, so it's got a fair bit of variety. The main thing's obviously going to be the Dragon Dance, and that's going to be the main thing I will run, but you know, I can definitely run like more defensive sets that are just there to wall specific Pokemon that I'm going to have problems with. But the issue is that obviously it's 4 times weak to Electric, so even though I do have the Zorora to help it out in that sense, it does mean that anything that I'm trying to counter defensively could run Hidden Power Electric, so I do need to watch out for that. But regardless, next Pokemon up here is Celebi, layered. Just like an onion, it is very layered in what it can do. It's very versatile, base 100 stats across the board. It's one of the Pixie Pokemon, and yeah, it's just got so many sets. It's so versatile as a Pokemon. I can run it offensively or defensively really well. Its big issue is that it's 4 times weak to U-turn, which means that it can lose momentum pretty easily against U-turn Pokemon. So that's definitely something that needs to be worried about, but it just does so much. It resists some really nice types. It can pass stats. Carmine, Nasty Plot into Zorora is going to be a big thing. Sword Stance if I want it to. I can get, I think I've got Agility for a Mega Mawile pass potentially. And then yeah, I can just serve as a nice pivot with U-turn. I can set up dual screens, seeds, etc. I've just got so many options in this Pokemon, so I picked it up. I wanted Reuniclus originally, but that did get sniped from me. But I feel like Celebi is a great addition to the team. It gives me a really good grass core to help my cores along, and still very nice Psychic. Gonna give me a lot of options and prep, so I'm excited to use this Pokemon. Next up we've got Blossom the Mienshao, and this is going to serve as my next pivot. Regenerate is a really strong ability, and it's not even going to be the ability I'm going to be using mainly. Reckless just makes its high jump kicks hit really hard, and I'm aware I'm definitely playing the odds by using this Pokemon. High jump kick does have that 90% accuracy, which means I will be missing way more often than I realistically should. That is how Pokemon goes. But I've got a lot of other options, other than just the 3 Scar sets. I can run like a bulkier set with Drain Punch if I wanted to, so I don't need to risk the high jump kicks in certain matchups. I can run Special pretty well. 95 Special Attack isn't anything to write home about, but if I can get some setup going, then that's going to be good. I can pass out my setup if I want. And also it serves as a really nice anti-lead with Taunt and Fake Out to break any sashes, and it's pretty much always going to have a good lead matchup because it's always going to be able to U-turn out on something if it doesn't like it. So it's a solid bring in almost any week. Just got to worry about like the kind of bulky ghosts, but if it just makes one prediction and knocks off the ghost type, it's pretty much set to do a lot of work against a lot of teams. There's not that much that wants to be taking on the fighting moves. Obviously fairies are going to be an issue for it, but I've got to make a Mawile and I've got a Nidoqueen, so I'm going to be able to put on a lot of pressure on those fairies. So I can see Mienshao putting in a lot of work for this team and being a pretty much a staple bring, I'd say. But significantly less staple, we've got Slowpoke Android 21 over here. This is going to be very niche matchup kind of bring, but it's definitely a solid option to have. It gives me sticky webs, it gives me a belly drum sweeper, and it gives me a nice cleric, and even Calm Minesweeper, not going to be quite as effective. The main reason why I drafted it is for webs with Morwile and Hydreigon and Nidoqueen and stuff. I've got a lot of good things to abuse webs, but I do have a lot of other options that I can bring that if they happen to be good in the matchup, I can do. I probably won't bring this Pokemon too much because I've got better stuff to bring, but it's definitely something that you need to keep in the back of your mind. Belly Drum Unburden set is something that if you don't prep for, you lose to. So I can force prep for Belly Drum every week without even bringing it. So even just having it on the team is forcing a lot of prep, which is really helpful for the games. Means that they're allocating resources to something and therefore forgoing something else, which is always good to see. Next up, we've got Frostlass. This is going to be another kind of niche bring. I probably won't bring it as much. I think I'll bring it more than Slurpuff at least because I really like spikes. But yeah, it's basically going to be the spike lead. But it does get access to Aurora Veil plus Hail, so I can get some dual screens up. I can put on a lot of like annoyance onto Pokemon as a lead, and I can catch some stuff off guard with Destiny Bond, get some sheep kills in there. And honestly, it's not very strong at all, but just statusing stuff and hitting them with a Hex or an Ice Beam, when the coverage is right, is going to still be putting in some damage. It's not something that you can really take advantage of as a lead. You don't see a Frostlass out and go immediately into your setup sweeper or something. You just can't, because you're going to get taunted, or you're going to get statused, or you're going to get Destiny Bonded. It's really hard to play around this Pokemon, and while it's going to be dying a lot and it's probably not going to be getting that many kills, it's going to be a nuisance to the team pretty much all the time. It's definitely very fun Pokemon. It's one of my favorites for sure. And yeah, with Choice Specs even, I can hit pretty hard, honestly, just because Icing goes to both such good offensive typings, so it's going to be quite a solid Pokemon. Really big fan of this one. Next up for my tier 5 pick, I've got Zetaburn Pyro over here, and Pyro is not particularly diverse in what it can do. Its coverage is really mediocre, which is why it's so down low, but 109 special attack with Choice Specs is not that bad for a tier 5 Pokemon, and normal spam is really solid, especially with a fire coverage to beat down the steals. It's going to be really quite a solid option in some matchups if they're not very good against normal spam. 106 speed is also really solid speed tier to be hitting, so I can honestly put in a lot of work with this. Flame Charge to get some boost. I can catch some stuff off guard with Endeavor or Yawn. And the good thing is I can run all of these kind of tech options because there's only like 2 moves that I specifically want to run, and that's Hyper Voice and Fire Blast on any given week. So that means I'm free to run Work Up or Yawn or whatever hidden power I need to cover whatever weaknesses it has. Once again, it's probably not going to be a Pokemon that I put in that much, but I think it's definitely quite underrated. Very solid fire pick, and also a pretty decent normal pick. Special normals are super good in the meta right now, even with all the steals running around, so I can see Zetaburn putting in some work in the right matchups. Next up, we managed to get Empoleon quite late into the game. It's basically my only removal at this point, which is a big weakness of the draft, gotta say, but Empoleon is a really good form of removal. Definitely a very consistent, reliable defogger. And in that it can usually get up rocks as well, so it fills out 2 roles at once. It gives me another bulky water and another bulky steel, so I'm not relying on Gyarados or Mega Morwile to fulfill that for me. And it's also quite solid offensively. 111 special attack can definitely put in some work. 86 attack isn't the worst thing either with Swords Dance. It's like passably good. Few fun sets that I like to run with it are like Sub-Tire Agility, and then like Dual Dance with Agility Swords Dance for offensive. It's really good with Defiance as well on the offense. I can punish Sticky Web teams, or I can punish Defogs really well with this in the right matchups, and it's got like some really solid coverage, but it's also got a lot of like versatility on the defensive side. So obviously got Defog and Stealth Rocks to set up and just annoy the team. reliably keep hazards off the field for me. It's also got Roar to phase, it's got Skull to get those nice free burns. So yeah, it's definitely a really solid versatile pick that's gonna be kind of some glue for the team here. So definitely solid, but I might be over reliant on it as it is pretty much my only removal, given that I will not want to run Defog on Hydreigon all that often. So it might become a bit of a crux. But next up, our last pick here is Unpheasant, the Charizard X counter. This is 100% a meme pick. I did not really see anything else in Tier 5 that I would particularly want. But for some context here, Jingus, the commissioner of this league, apparently opted to bring Unpheasant with a Z-Fly set to counter Charizard X. Do not ask me why, it did not work out. Of course it didn't work out. Its speed is slower. It relied on a Tailwind to outspeed it, which wasn't going to happen. Flynium Z didn't even guarantee kill it, so not a good Pokemon overall. When I picked this up, I knew it was bad, but it doesn't even get Acrobatics, let alone Brave Bird. My best flying stab is Aerial Ace, so it's pretty bad. I'm not exactly sure what I would bring on it. I guess I could bring Scarf Pivot. It's actually got a pretty solid support moveset with Tailwind, Taunt, and Wish even, and Roost, but its defensive stats are very mediocre, if you can even call it that, and yeah, its typing isn't the best exactly to be setting up all this stuff, and I've got so many Taunt users already, but 115 attack is pretty decent. If I want to bring like a Scarf Revenge Killer on this or something, I can spam Facade or a Turn or something and try to put in some work there. Choice Band Quick Attack could be good, but realistically this isn't going to be coming to any games, it's just a meme pick. But yeah, I'm pretty big fan of the draft. Very offensive in nature, but I do have a lot of Pokemon that can be run defensively and take the hits if need be. I'm not overly weak to any one type. Maybe ground will be an issue and sort of ice, but that's kind of to be expected on a lot of teams. I've got a lot of offense to play around that stuff for the most part, so it's just going to be kind of just out offensing, keeping up momentum, and keeping rocks away is going to be the big thing, because like I said before, Empoleon's my only real form of removal on the team, so I've got so many options to stop rocks from coming out, because like 50% of my team has Taunt, and obviously I put out a lot of pressure, so it's going to be hard to find opportunities to set up anyway. So I'm not too worried about hazards. Hazards are something that I value. Hazard removal, sorry, is something I don't value particularly high, because you can deal with hazards in other ways anyway. But yeah, that's the team, guys. Make sure to check out the YouTube channel and the Discord server. The links to those will be down below. And see you guys next time. Peace.